graduated 5 women, which is 20% of the class. So we're becoming a little bit more representative of our demographic. I'm very pleased with that. I also have the honor of supporting diversity and inclusion, and each district made submissions for the NACO 3-Star Award. And for the very first time, we received one from American Samoa. Thank you, Commodore Ankrum. They've updated their strategic plan to include I Lead, which I'll touch on in a minute. And 2 articles on diversity and inclusion were published and posted on the national website. I also support the Safety Advisory Group. And we all know safety is something very important to us. Each of you should have received a questionnaire regarding safety, and I'm hoping you took the time, as well as each of your members, to fill it out. What our goal is, what the end game is to develop a just culture of safety. We want an atmosphere where someone could feel confident to report a mishap without feeling that there may be some type of repercussion or reprisal. We want people to be free to say, hey, I was out on patrol and this happened. And we'll take these incidents, we'll document them, but more importantly, we'll learn from them. And that's the goal for all of this. Because at the end of the day, if you think about it, safety is every member's responsibility, not just the coxswain, not just the aircraft commander. You could have a PE instructor trip on an extension cord in a class. You could have somebody doing a VE walking the dock. It belongs to each and every one of us. So from our finance people, we have improved the visibility of all our expenditures and funds through the use of a service called Bill.com. All purchases are now being reviewed by AUXA as well as the auxiliary CFO, and each district DSOFN has been briefed on that new financial controls SOP that we're so proud that came out recently. Work has begun on developing a guide for audit committees, and all software licenses now are being routed through the Deputy NACO FN, Donna Miller. Thank you, Donna. A moment ago, I mentioned an acronym, I Lead. What it is Inclusive Leadership, Excellence, and Diversity. We now have 4 pilot districts among our 16 districts, and they're up and running. Commodores Linda Merriman and Mary Kirkwood have graciously agreed to participate in the LDAC, which is the Leadership Diversity Advisory Council. I know these are some new acronyms for you, but I Lead is also one of my initiatives as National Commodore, so get used to hearing them. They've also developed a marketing package that's being developed and will be disseminated to be cascaded through the districts. And I saved this one for last because this seems to get the most questions and the most curiosities, for lack of better, and that's the alternate work uniform. I had a conversation with the vendor 2 days ago. The vendor tells me that excess of 2,000 orders have been filled. The average order is for 3 shirts. Average order is 2 short sleeve, 1 long sleeve. I look around the room here and I see we're represented with a number of our members wearing it, and I'm sure if you approach them and ask them, they'll tell you it's very comfortable. As of now, the greatest numbers being shipped are being shipped to Texas, Hawaii, and Florida. And I'm thinking it has something to do with the climates there. It was recently brought to my attention that the 511 Tac-Lite Pro pants, shorts, only came up to waist size 44. Working with Steve Minutolo, we were able to determine that the 511 EMS shorts, which are essentially the same short and offered in the same color, go up to waist 54. So they have now been authorized for our members who require waist 46 to 54. They could wear the Tac-Lite EMS shorts also in dark navy. But you change one thing, something else happens. So now that we're authorizing these shorts up to waist 54, we realize that our rigger belt doesn't go up to waist 54. Of course, right? Because nothing's going to go smooth every time. So we're exploring a couple of different belts. I personally am testing one from Black Hawk. I could tell you it's excellent. It sizes up to 60, but it's got a huge downside. If you buy our rigger belt from the exchange system, I think it's about $5. The Black Hawk belt's $35. So what we did is we contacted the vendor who is providing the shirts for us, and he is on the hunt to find something similar to the Black Hawk belt or something identical to our current rigger belt that is available in waist sizes up to 60. So that's all I have, barring any questions. Thank you, and I appreciate each of you being here today.
NACO Atlantic East and Recreational Boating Safety, Gary Barth.
Good morning. Atlantic Area East makes up about 57% of the entire auxiliary with over 12,300 plus members. This starts in Maine and goes south to Florida, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. District 1st Northern is led by Commodore Byron Moe and David McClure, Chief of Staff, and their membership's just over 1,800 members. They had their first AUX Scout ship authorized and operational with 2 more in the works. Their award program caught up for the last 5-year backlog and is moving forward with new award matrix to assure recognition in the future. The recreational boating safety program has been revamped to work with technologies and also with partner agencies and organizations to extend outreach. Also, the local town clerks and insurance brokers and others are now distributing the QR-coded cards to direct boaters to public education courses, vessel exams, and the Coast Guard app in both Apple and Android versions. Culinary assistants are cooking in stations and cutters and for active duty ceremonies, including changes of command and retirement ceremonies. Their paddlecraft afloat now has 2 qualified instructors and 10 members in training, and their district owns 12 kayaks and the U.S. Coast Guard AUX wraps for each outreach. District funds were utilized to purchase batteries for Coastie, training underway to revitalize their program after COVID, and their auxiliaries are now working with MWR on Cuddy Hunk Island to work with changeover on Saturday nights and Sunday mornings. Sector Boston has had an S-train is planned for September underway. Training is a focus and working to qualify members for the Auxiliary Operational Excellence Awards. They currently have 31 plus new members, and they're operating high-frequency radio watches on weekends for the Coast Guard and also for the Air Force. And they're also continuing public affairs activities on local markets with TV interviews. They're negotiating with the New England News Network for on-the-water weather reports to be added to the broadcast to include water safety tips. Also, their emergency management is providing permanent liaison with local EMA centers to conduct an audit for active duty units. Their iLead test district a committee has been formed. They're awaiting further guidance from National. First District Southern is led by Commodore Mark Stone and Michael West, Chief of Staff, and their membership is just over 2,600 members. They have had a D-train planned for March, but had to be postponed due to financial concerns and also the plain old COVID, and now it's planned for September. The district is also participating in the alternative work uniform. They're a pilot program, and their uniform inspections have been initiated and continue across the district. Many districts have applied for the 3-star many district units have applied for the 3-star diversity award, which is great also. Continuing leadership education continues to be highly successful with classes spanning 2.5 months. Some of the classes included leadership in the 21st century, managing human capital in the auxiliary, and what leaders need to know. Also, we're dealing with clean water with an anti-terrorism overlay, civil rights in the auxiliary, aspirational thinking, development in self and others in the auxiliary, and motivating leading a volunteer workforce. They participated in the nation's largest St. Patrick's Day parade and in the air show at Jones Beach. They've also provided support for the New York City Fleet Week, which included culinary assistants, watchstanding, tour guides, public affairs, recruiting, and drivers, not divers, excuse me. The regional-based training was held in multiple regions of the district and was very successful. They have a great culinary assistant training and qualification of 30 new members who were cooking aboard the Coast Guard cutter Eagle and stationed New London. Their district-wide support for 4th of July by surface operations for multiple large-scale events, including Macy's 4th of July Fireworks Spectacular. They conducted a June district board and staff meeting followed by a district awards ceremony. Their culinary assistants are working aboard the Eagle many days a week when they're in port and otherwise, and the district has developed an electronic form for the 7101s for members' use, which greatly enhances their accountability. Also, they have appointment of district medical advisor to make sure their members' health and safety is the #1 priority, and they've got great communication between the auxiliary, sectors, stations, and the districts. District 5 Northern is led by Commodore Joe Giantasio and Kurt Sarek, Chief of Staff. Their membership's just over 1,500 members. D5 North members continue to offer operational roles in directly supporting the active duty Coast Guard, and the district quickly found ways to balance readiness, risk, and resilience by what got them there for these trying times was communication and adaptability, allowing leaders to quickly identify, address, and refine solutions to local area and district problems. The auxiliary monument at the Coast Guard Training Center, Cape May, will now be among the official guided tours when groups tour resume in August. District 5 Northern auxiliaries performed all guided tours at TRACSCEN, and this will nicely augment the auxiliary recruiting pamphlets initiative of providing auxiliary membership brochures to families attending recruit graduation at TRACSCEN. So hopefully that we can get the parents involved in the auxiliary also. D5 Northern again identified a private funding source to purchase Marlin Spike knives to be presented at the Auxiliary Seamanship Award to the deserving recruits at TRACSCEN Cape May graduations. The district has supplied these knives for 2 decades and is happy to maintain this great tradition. In July, the Cape May flotilla arranged for the Coast Guard and the station Cape May being highlighted by CBS Television's Sport Fishing Championship Network by the Gale Force twins, identical twins who are popular on YouTube, boating influences. District 5 Southern is led by Commodore Alan Fred and John Krogman Jr., Chief of Staff, and their membership is just over 2,100 members. They've progressed towards meeting various goals and objectives and significantly improved with the changes in the COVID-19 protocol. A better understanding of training and of the training Aux Data 2, the recruiting aids from public affairs, and recently released financial control SOP are some of the things that's aided them in meeting several of their objectives in 2022. Their current membership represents a net gain of 32 for the year. The negative impact of COVID-19 and the provisions of Enclosure 13 on recruiting and retention have been minimal. The engagement of members has been unqualified success. Vessel exams, program visits, public education, these numbers have significantly increased from 2021. Vessel safety checks year to date reflect a 70% increase in the 2021 totals, and program visits this year are up 58%. Public education is up 70%. And the total mission hours this date is up by 39%. The Director of Auxiliary has funded the purchase of 45 portable automatic identification units for their surface operational facilities. These units allow sector command centers to have a better situational awareness of underway auxiliary facilities and assets to help with cases. Points of emphasis in 5th Southern include recruiting and retention, member training is being delivered both virtually and in person. District 7 is led by Commodore Pat McMenamin and John Holmes, Chief of Staff. Their membership is over 4,100 members. Some of the awards of note include Flotilla 5-9 in Stuart, Florida was selected as Flotilla of the Year in 2020, which was awarded in 2021. Greg Hendricks from Flotilla 17-6 was the Charles S. Greenoff Award winner, and Clint O'Connor from Flotilla 9-10 was the Captain Niels Peel Thompson Innovation Award winner. District 7 has supplied 16 men from the Interpreter Corps to assist active duty throughout the country and also aboard Coast Guard cutters. District 7 has supplied multiple coronary assistance for deployment on the Eagle, cutters, and several sectors throughout the country. They have also supplied over 12 auxiliaries in support of the Southwest Border Operation. Membership is above the 2020 level and part of the Auxiliary I-Lead pilot program. They've provided support for the United States Coast Guard Band at a variety of venues throughout the district, and as of July 11th, they have performed 8,051 vessel exams, over 2,400 program educational hours, 8,687 program visits, and over 2,000 plus member training hours. Over 2,600 surface operation hours, including maintaining security zones for launches at Cape Canaveral, and over 2,500 operational hours for air support. National Safe Boating Week was a great success again this year, with all divisions within the district participating with various events such as public affairs, public education, vessel exams, program visits, and multiple proclamations. Thank you very much.
NACO Atlantic West and Mission Support, Tom Mullally.
If anyone, Mr. White.
Good morning. Atlantic West, comprising of District 8 and District 9. With the advent of the COVID-19 Rate Constitution Guide of 27 May, morale and hours showed a marked improvement since the beginning of the pandemic. Retired Coasties magazine, The Thin Blue Line, ran an article addressing auxiliary recruiting. So we're looking at recruiting, as I stated before, very important to us right now. 9th District Durock's office has just initiated a policy of enforcing flotillas being kept at a minimum of 10 members, as well as ensuring a new batch of flotilla commanders is readily available. Multiple flotillas have been placed on probation, with them being given 1 year to either increase their membership, grow new leaders, or dissolve the flotilla and merge with a healthier unit. This has caused districts in the District 9 to lose 2 flotillas and 1 division. Multiple districts have expanded their AUXPAD float program with additional Certified American Canoe Association instructors. The AUXPAD is especially growing in 8 Coastal, 9 Central, and 9 Eastern. All districts have their full D-trains set. Some growth in membership has been happening, but all districts are now in possession of the media package that the aid director passed out, and they are reaching out to their AOR media stations for public broadcasting. With tropical storm and hurricane season approaching, coastal districts are testing their Everbridge communication. I'll be reminding all districts to do the same. Sea Scout ships have been added to 4 of the 6 districts in the Atlantic West area. 9 Eastern has been presenting virtual public education safe boating classes. The AUX-CAs are again active this year. An ADSO has been established to address additional paddlecraft operations. 9 Central has appointed an ADSO HR to handle new member inquiries due to some applications falling through the cracks. Recently, we had a Coast Guard Days in 9 Central that National Commodore attended. If you've never been to Coast Guard Days in Grand Haven, I recommend you try it. 9 Western reports that the sector commander for Lake Michigan has developed a beach safety and swim initiative for all Coast Guard stations in that area. Auxiliaries playing a major role in that area. Also, recent events in 9 Western include the NACON race, and as we speak, the Chicago Air and Water Show is currently happening. 8 Coastal has reactivated coastie deployment for public affairs. Aviation is active again. National Safe Boating Week had a greater interest since it's been missing for 2 years. 8 Eastern increased its membership, still calling for additional culinary assistance. 8 Western's National Safe Boating Week was able to gather state proclamations from 15 out of 16 states. Membership is also growing. 8 Eastern and 8 Western are standardizing their culinary system forms for both districts with respect to common Durox offices. Some potential AUX scouts are also being stood up. As for my other responsibility of Forcecom, the aid directorate has 2021-2022 annual PA contest has been reviewed and approved by NACO with a total of 15 first place plaques covering all categories. Plaques for all these winners will be coordinated with this director, with the Auxiliary Association will be presented at this conference. Social media Twitter page has reached 15,000 followers. Our Facebook page currently has grown from 20,000 to 25,000. Instagram is at 9,500 followers. Recruiting material again is being presented on my CG application on the phone, and again the Long Blue Line active duty publication. Social media branch chief for the 3rd time has been invited to aboard the Coast Guard Cutter Healy to provide social media coverage. District color guard lists have been updated and are available to all DCOs. Public affairs specialists, we have 129 PA3s, 24 PA2s, and 58 PA1s for a total of 21. Copies of 5 Northern's quarterly publication, Topsider, has been digitized by the Joyner Library and should be available online by the end of summer. This collection goes back to WW2. Copy edits completed now for the Fighting Coast Guard, America's Maritime Guardians at War in the 20th Century. Page proofs are at the University of Kansas, should be received this month. The book is currently listed on Amazon.com. Retiring active duty are receiving a recruiting brochure for joining the auxiliary. Some are trying out for, again, to keep recruiting going. Our H Directorate, it reports that Coast Guard recruiting, health services, chaplain support, culinary assistance divisions are performing above the level of expectations. The Uniform Division is creating a quick reference guide for uniform wearer. The Uniform Division is stressing the need for uniform inspections and is asking for backing from the district leadership. We are leading a proactive recruiting program that will focus on recruiting college students and recent college graduates that participate in our local college and university clubs. Our division is now in the process of rolling out a new HR best practices training presentation across the country by the district. This training is focused on forms and processes relative to HR. Over 1,100 prospective members leads have been processed with the return of AAMS. They have resulted in 60 new members. 40 leads were closed due to ineligibility or unresponsive. The H Director is currently developing training for AAMS usage again. Auxiliary chaplains, we're at 98. First quarter of auxiliary chaplain support provided 1,976 hours of the first quarter for chaplains. Physical visits were 330. Telecommunication visits were 716. Standby hours for CG chaplains was 270 days. Number of unreimbursed miles driven by our chaplain people was 15,625, and unreimbursed expenses by chaplains was 18,500. Health, safety, work life currently consists of 54 credentialed people, 25 physicians, 1 physician assistant, 4 nurse practitioners, 2 podiatrists, 7 dentists, 5 pharmacists, 5 RNs, 3 psychologists, and 1 behavioral health nurse practitioner, and 1 physical therapist. There are 10 non-credentialed members, 6 are EMTs, 2 are administration, 1 lab technician, 1 medical assistant. We have 16 applicants, 5 clinical, 2 dentists, 1 pharmacist, 70 RNs, and 1 EMT. Training Directorate reports that the Moodle classroom environment is a success. Help desk tickets have decreased. The training division is developing a division SOP and a communication services course, officer course. Leadership Development Division reports the auxiliary leadership courses. They have 134 participants so far this year. There are 16 graduates in NACON for all OC, and our ASOC class graduated. OC-C is being re-edited. OC Weather is being reviewed. OC Nav is being compiled with rewrites. OC-SAR, OC-PAT, and OC-COM are the last courses in a pipeline and should be submitted for review by the end of 2022. Leadership Development. Flotilla leadership show about 50% of the certification of our current flotilla leaders. We'd like to stress the importance of education at that unit level. And in my report.
DNACO Pacific Area and Operations, Mary Kirkwood.
Good morning, everybody. It's very good to see everybody. And I'm going to take my mask off since I'm speaking, but it is good to see everybody and good to be seen, and it seems like it's been a long time. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about my scope of responsibility and leadership. It includes the operations directorates as well as the PAC area. Pacific area consists of about 3,700 members, although we have grown, we're probably closer to 3,800. All of the western states and areas in and near the Pacific Ocean. We have districts 11 South and 11 North, have the states of California, Nevada, Arizona, and Utah. District 13 is Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Montana. District 14 is Hawaii, Guam, and American Samoa. And then District 17 is up in Alaska. So geographically, it's a huge area. For operations, which is led by Commodore Rick Saunders and Deputy Anthony Marzano, includes 4 directorates, and that's Response, Prevention, Emergency Management, and International Affairs. All the directorates are currently working towards their goals and milestones for the upcoming revised National Strategic Plan, and I'm only going to give a brief highlight of the work that they're doing because you'll hear more about that in OPCOM tomorrow. So for response, under the Director Roy Savoca and Deputy Sue Thurlow, Commodore Thurlow, their major programs are surface air and communications. They're currently finishing up revising PQSs for surface ops, including crew, coxswain, and PWC, so you'll be seeing those hopefully in a few months. They're beginning work on the newly approved program allowing AUX to participate in the Coast Guard drone program, so again, will be coming, more coming on that. And they're hosting 2 aviation workshops, aviation sea schools this week, and then also the aviation workshop for the DSO AVs. Prevention Directorate with Director Kim Cole and Deputy John McLeod. Their major programs, as you know, is marine safety and navigation systems. They do commercial fishing vessels, uninspected passenger vessels, container inspections, pollution response, Sea Partners, and AWW as part of their prevention outreach. They did an amazing job this year revising 10 PQSs for marine safety, and it really was a tremendous body of work, and I really think they've done a great job with those. Most of those have been approved up the chain. We still have a couple still in the pipeline, but some of those you can already find up on their website. The rest will be probably by the end of the year. They also revised or created 5 study guides. Some of them are brand new study guides, which will help our members become successful in attempting these marine safety certificates. They're also hosting the Marine Safety Workshop this week for the DSO Marine Safety. Emergency Management and Disaster Services with Director Commodore Bob Tippett and Deputy Tom Robertson. They're the ones who provide alignment with the active duty for emergency management and ICS. Their main focus this quarter has really been on providing guidance and supporting our members volunteering for deployment to the southwest border, which is an incredible, unprecedented mission for the auxiliary. Just absolutely unprecedented. And they really stood up to put together quick deployment information, helped with getting orders, helped getting hotels secured at a very significantly reduced rate for the area, so really hats off for that. That mission has been extended to the end of November, so we're desperately looking for more members who want to participate in the Southwest Border Project. They're also taking the lead on the gap analysis for 2022. You heard, or most of you heard about that yesterday. It helps identify needs of our active duties at sectors and all, that will be coming out again later this year. International Affairs with Director David Huang and Deputy James Sullivan, the interpreter program and translation services. They have international outreach. They have over 20 countries that they liaison with that have volunteer SAR groups. We will have 4 different countries here this year. At this NACON this week. There's an international luncheon on Friday, which should be really good. They're also working on MOUs with 2 countries, so those are in the works as well. And they do both translation and interpreter services, and they're really in high demand. Several have been deployed on cutters for a couple of weeks or more at a time as they've been in sensitive areas that need some translation services, so good job there. Districts and PAC area, they continue to emerge from COVID. West Coast was a little slower, I think, than East Coast and Central the United States, but generally back in full operations with just still some COVID precautions, safety precautions. I want to really say hats off to our leadership in our districts because, as you know, the last 2 years, their entire tenure has been COVID. And so the work that they have done to keep our members engaged, enthused, has just been tremendous. And again, hats off to the work that you have done there. All 5 districts had very successful National Safe Boating Weeks, including PA, PE, VSC events, life jacket giveaways, wear your life jacket to work days, and beach cleanups, so very successful there. District 11 South with Charlie Geiger, Commodore Geiger, and Chief of Staff Rick Ebel continue to rebuild their AUX Air program. They're planning to host an AUX 17 course, hopefully later this year, to try and help their members get the qualifications they need and get prepared. Inland lakes and rivers continues to be one of their highest priorities because of the number of accidents and deaths. However, the water is so low, it's been less of an issue this year, so not so much boating happening there. They had a very successful D-Train, their first one in 3 years. So again, it was great. I attended, it was great to see everybody. They also had a very successful Fleet Week, which is always a lot of fun with many members serving in various capacities there, including safety patrols. And then they do a lot of public affairs. They've had a lot of activity, high visibility activities in the last few months. 11 North with Commodore Dean McFerrin and Chief of Staff Curtis Hahn. They continue to work on the request for forces, which is like a local gap analysis that their admiral, the D11 commander, has put together, asking for different members to fill some vacancies, active duty vacancies, and so they've done some back staffing, et cetera. So far, they've filled 41 of 66 requests. Some of them are assistant ground safety officer at Air Station Sacramento, health services, culinary at Sector Small Boats and the Cutter Oishi, working with D11 Waterways with project assistance and data management, and then other non-traditional AUX activities that fit within our guidelines. They also had very successful, they participated in the contingency communications program for exercise for D11. So they worked with the D11 Coast Guard Command Center, a full-scale exercise testing the capabilities and design of high-frequency and very high-frequency radio network. The intent was to see whether or not they had alternate communication means if the main communication systems failed or went down due to earthquake or some other disaster. It was very much a success. We had many telecommunications members involved, and the good news is the alternative communications did work, so they're in good shape there. D13 with Commodore Tiny Singler and Chief of Staff Dan Keeley. Again, major PA events they've done is the Rose Fest, and with thousands in attendance. They had an Ironman event in Idaho where they plucked 61 swimmers out of the water, so it was good that they were there. They have been spending a tremendous amount of time on paddlecraft initiatives and have done some great work there. And so far they have 37 new members for the year, so they're probably going to hit their 10% mark. D14 in Hawaii, Commodore Denise Ankrum and Chief of Staff Keurig. Again, DCO, Dyrox, and OTU traveled to Guam and Saipan in July, which helped them re-energize some of the work that's being done there. They met with flotillas and local boat administrators, and they're working with the Hawaii Ocean Safety Team for a new If Found sticker, which is actually a QR code so that you could scan it and get the information right there. Oh, I'm running out of time. I did not expect that. D17 with Commodore Janik and Chief of Staff Marion Parrish continue to work to stand up their AUX aviation program. They're doing, in the meantime, some work with Civil Air Patrol in that Civil Air Patrol is actually locating distressed vessels and then radio and communicating the information to them so they can go and help. Also, another project that they've done is they've actively engaged members with less than 5 years to find out why people are not stepping forward for leadership. All of our districts are having problems with people moving forward. They reached out to other districts, so they got members from other districts as well. This is going to be great for us nationally, as I think everybody's challenged with this. I'd like to end by thanking all of my directors and NACO and Commodores for the incredible work they've done. It's just amazing how much work they do, and they really make my job easy. So thank you very much.
Wow. 1 second. That's very perfect. That was
DNACO Information Technology and Planning, Linda Merriman.
Thank you. Good morning. You know, it's hard to be last. But I'm the only person not running for office, so I'm probably the calmest one up here.
I'm not either.
Along with the National Commodore. So it's nice to be here in person again to talk about some of the things that are happening in the Information Technology and Planning's 4 directorates. On the Information Technology side, under Assistant National Commodore Susan Davies, the Computer, Software, and Systems Directorate is led by Director Amanda Constant and her deputy Carlos Arenas. Their team of experts maintains over 40 systems that make up the auxiliary IT portfolio, such as the server architecture and maintenance, information security, the help desk, AUX directory, the national websites, and WOW site hosting. And that's just a few of the things that they're responsible for keeping up and running. The Cybersecurity Division remains actively engaged with the Coast Guard on cybersecurity initiatives and emerging issues. They conducted 3 training sessions for Coast Guard civilian marine transportation system specialists on digital forensics, cyber-related executive orders, and gave an update to them on the auxiliary cyber program. While the plan of action for the accepted recommendations from their risk assessment report did not finish in Q2 as anticipated, work on several of the noted initiatives is already underway, and the full plan will complete this quarter. The team continues to work on development of an auxiliary cyber augmentation program. The Division Chief, Joe Espina, will be speaking to us a little bit later this morning about more on what's going on in cybersecurity. Last month, the improved authentication service, which provides industry standard features and protocols for login and permission management, was extended to the Auxiliary Directory, the National Testing Center, and Auxiliary Applicant Management System. There's some growing pains, but we're getting there, and we appreciate everybody's cooperation and moving forward with us on these important initiatives. The other half of IT is the User Support and Systems Directorate, led by Director Randy Patton and Deputy Bob Fritz. Aux Data 2 continues to be the director's focus. You heard the Chief Director talk about that a little bit a few minutes ago. The process that's in place to capture, catalog, validate, and prioritize issues and recommendations received from user feedback is working well. There's a release of upgrades, enhancements, and fixes every 3 weeks. Suggestions from the field, from you, for system improvements may be submitted to the unit IS officer for forwarding up the chain of management to the district IS officer. For the past few months, most of the work has been behind-the-scenes maintenance of items such as updating task and competency lists, adding details to the aircraft facility input pages, changing position codes to match changed titles, updating the patrol order process to resolve issues associated with the new financial management system, and adding a Southwest Border Support Operations Code. A critical service provided to members, the Coast Guard, and the public by the IT group are the help desks. The Aux Data 2 Tier 1 support team worked on over 2,100 service requests in the first half of this year. The majority of them were for password and login problems and for patrol order issues. The legacy help desk dealt with over 1,200 tickets during the same period, primarily for, surprise, login issues associated with the upgraded auxiliary online classroom. Since N-Train 2 in-person Aux 10 Information Services C-Schools were held, including one here early this week, these are being supplemented by virtual Aux 10 courses, which have proven to be very popular, with one completed in July and 2 more scheduled for the second half of the year. Class information on both options is on the C Directorate webpage. Development of a new Communications Services Officer virtual course called Aux WOW will implement this quarter. It replaces the legacy in-person Aux 4 WOW website development C-School. Okay, on the Performance and Student Programs side, under Assistant National Commodore Peter Jensen, the Performance Management Directorate is led by Director Kevin Redden and Deputy Kim Fillion. Their strategic plan tracking team continued regular monitoring of organization-wide progress on the 2020 to 2026 National Strategic Plan. When I wrote this report of 133 total milestones, 107, which is 81%, were completed. That number will be updated at OPCOM tomorrow. A draft of the new plan, the 2022-2028 plan, is done, and the definition of tactical milestones and dates is underway by each initiative owner. The new plan will publish at the start of the next term on 1 November. The 2021 value of the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary Report was published last month. It is available on the National Commodores webpage under the National Leadership Documents link. It is the 8th in a series of annual reports produced by the Performance Management Directorate according to a Coast Guard-approved methodology. The principal finding for 2021 is that for every $1 that the Coast Guard spends on the auxiliary, it receives back $8.76 in services and cash equivalents. This is a slight improvement from 2020's $7.96 return, but still significantly lower than 2019's $12.54 return. The 2021 numbers reflect both the continuing impact of COVID-19 restrictions and the transition to the Coast Guard's financial systems modernization solution, which limited all but essential air and surface patrols for several months. Despite these challenges, the report demonstrates that even in the face of external roadblocks, the auxiliary continues to represent a substantial value proposition to the Coast Guard. It is important to note that the source of most of the base data is AUX data too. There are inherent limitations when we use self-reported data. Most likely that results in undervaluing auxiliary contributions. A way to improve this factor is for all of us to continue to encourage members to accurately and completely report their activities. Last, but by no means least, the Student Programs Directorate is led by Director Jean McNamara and Deputy Jacob Thayer. In June, the Auxiliary Academy Admissions Partners Program moved from diversity inclusion to student programs. This brings all the auxiliary youth programs into one AOR that is focused on building student leaders, providing training and opportunities in Coast Guard auxiliary missions and programs, and identifying well-qualified candidates for the Coast Guard. Directorate leaders met with the Academy's Director of Admissions in July to discuss future opportunities and our vision for the auxiliaries' contribution to their program. The discussions will continue over the coming months with the implementation of appropriate changes planned to be in place by 1 November. The Auxiliary University program is holding steady at 147 students in 53 institutions, with the Virginia Military Institute as its newest unit. 20 AUP students are interning this summer, an increase from 15 from last summer. The AUP academic branch added a new qualification, AIDS Verifier, to its program of study, and another team is working on updating the AUP Leadership and Management Guide to simplify the processes to reflect where the program stands today. The Auxiliary Sea Scout program has 453 members and 25 auxiliary-sponsored ships. Unfortunately, this is a net drop of 2 ships from Q1. While 1 new ship was added in Q2, 3, previously chartered by the auxiliary, failed to complete their 2021 year-end rechartering paperwork and were dropped by the Boy Scouts of America. Although it is disappointing that a few auxiliary-sponsored units failed to complete that paperwork, this is better than the BSA's nationwide average, where they see 25% of new Sea Scout units failing to recharter at the end of their first year. The team is working with the district AUX Scout staff officers to help them understand their opportunities for addressing this challenge. With the easing of COVID restrictions, auxiliary-sponsored Sea Scout Safety at Sea events have resumed. 1 took place earlier this year, 5 more are confirmed over the next few months, and 3 more are in the planning phase. The AUX Scout district staff officers will be here later in the week for meetings that will focus on the lessons learned since the program's inception 2 years ago, pushing out best practices to all the districts, and developing a vision for the program's future. Encourage everyone to stop by the booth that they'll have set up, the exhibit that they'll have set up tomorrow through Saturday out here to learn more about the program and speak with our local and national AUX Scout experts. These are just highlights of what's happening in information technology and planning. Appreciate your attention. Please find me if you have any questions or comments. Thank you. Okay. We're good. What can I say?
Vice President, NAC Robert Lauer, and NAC elections.
Come on up, Bob, or whatever you want. Take your time.
Hello, everyone, and greetings from the 175 members of the National Association of Commodores. I'm here today to give you some good news on a number of fronts. I think all of you have received a message from me recently that said we're getting ready to organize and to teams that will be able to assist both the national efforts and the efforts of the districts with members of NAC put in place to help you lead teams or complete projects and work on things that are dedicated to the National Strategic Plan. I'm interested, all of my folks are interested, and in fact, I got an email from one of our folks who said, I've been retired from the auxiliary 9 years, but I hope I can still help. And I think that shows that there are a lot of people that are interested in doing what we're doing here, and a lot of folks would like to get back into the groove and assist where they can. And of course, there's challenges to that. And the challenge for me is, how do I categorize their skills so that I can put the right people in the right places? And we're working through that. I'll be getting a survey out to everybody to help me find out what skills you would like to share, and then I'll be able to deploy folks into specific project areas. That's going to happen, and it's going to happen very soon. But we want to make sure that we apply those folks to the areas of the strategic plan and the areas where special projects that perhaps you don't have the right leadership in place or the right skills in place, maybe we can augment that and help you get through that. We'll be doing, I've been looking at the staff. I have a great staff, but it's liable to grow a little bit based on my desire, our desire to be able to add value in the districts and on the national staff. So I'm looking forward to that. We are all looking forward to that. I would encourage everybody that isn't a member to please join us. We can use your help. And I'll be looking specifically when we get started at the people, the ANACOs and those folks that are 1 or 2 generations out to immediately come to the forefront to help do some of those technical projects while I figure out where the skills are and the rest of my folks. So if there are any questions about any of that, please see me. I'd be more than happy to discuss that, and I look forward to working with all of you as you transition into NAC, and then we can move forward on other support projects. So many thanks to all of you, and thanks to the 179 members that we have. We're looking forward to having some fun with everyone. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ross. Thank you.
I am now pleased to introduce Joe Espino, Division Chief, Cybersecurity, for his presentation.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. There's a microphone. I'll stand back a little bit. So just want to give an update as to where we are with the Aux Cyber program. Got a lot of things done in the past 2 years, and happy to report on some of these items. So starting off with what the Coast Guard's expectations are and what some of the strategic guidance that we've been receiving is. In 2021, in August, they released the Cyber Strategic Outlook. In it, it specifically outlines or highlights the auxiliary and their desire to include us in the overall cyber workforce, leveraging particularly our backgrounds and expertise. So what we started about in November of 2020, my division ended up assuming this role for the Aux Cyber program. We started looking to see what things have been going on. We were aware of some of the activities around the country. Most of these were sector-driven, where somebody at a sector was aware of an auxiliarist who happened to have some cyber background. They reached out to them. A lot of decentralized activities going on. And we also had a lot of anecdotal evidence that, we have a lot of cyber experience within the auxiliary. So moving on, we in January of 21, we actually did an assessment, and turned out that anecdotal rumor turned out to be true. We conducted an assessment. We had over 570 folks who expressed interest in the Cyber program. They covered 35 of the 37 sectors, and out of those folks, we had 137 members who indicated that they have a cybersecurity certification that meets DoD 8570, which is the standard for the Coast Guard that they use to make sure that anybody who's doing hands-on cyber work, that they have to hold one of those certifications. With that data, we also looked to see where everybody was. We want to make sure that everybody wasn't just clumped up in one region. So the good news is we're covering all the districts. Like I said, 35 out of 37 sectors, and we are covering most of the AORs. By district, this is the counts of people who expressed interest, including how many folks are actually certified, with a total count of 338 certifications held by those 137 folks. From a monetary standpoint, the Coast Guard is right now paying civilians to do who hold these certifications a 15% bonus every year. If you look at 137 folks based on the salary pay, it's a return for those folks of almost $1.6 million. So what we've been doing in the background, we've been working, getting the documentation and the kind of the chartering docs for this established. We've been working with Coast Guard Cyber Command, CG 791, which is the Office of Cyberspace Forces, and BSX to draft a cyber instruction, which is going to be the document that codifies the program. We've been included in the next release of the Cyberspace Operations Manual, which is basically highlighting that Cyber is a component of the cyber workforce for the Coast Guard, as well as we're happy to have been included in the latest auxiliary policy statement, specifically highlighting cybersecurity as one of the augmentation roles. While those documents are being worked on, we have been working on getting our folks onboarded. We had all those people express interest. We want to start, working on getting them vetted, getting them find out exactly what their skill sets are, as well as getting them through the process and all the resources that they're going to need to be able to do various levels of augmentation. So we've split it up into a couple different phases. Phase 1 started off in April. We invited the 137 folks who hold a cert to apply. We had 37 applications. They're going through the process of vetting and operational interviews at the moment. We're about a little more than 50% done on the operational interviews, and then we'll have the next steps for those guys. Phase 2, we kicked off just over 2 weeks ago. That was other folks who expressed interest, didn't necessarily have one of those certifications, but did self-report that they had the knowledge, training, and experience in cyber to help out with the mission. That invite went out to 253 folks, and we had, as of this morning, 38 folks have applied, and we're just starting the initial screening for them. Later on this year, we'll go ahead and invite the remainder of folks who expressed interest, and we'll transition from the invites to just a general applications where we'll post that up sometime in the beginning of next year. So once folks get in, what will they potentially be doing? We'll start out with some of the things we're doing right now with some of the team within the division. We've been working with the maritime transportation specialists, those civilians I mentioned. They're assigned at both areas commands. They are assigned at all the districts are filled, and they're now hiring at the sector level. We've been working with them doing brown bags, workshops, doing if they have a topic that they want briefed, we've usually been able to find a subject matter expert on it, and been able to provide them presentations on those items. We're also reaching out to them to kind of understand those sector demand signals so that we can assist them. Next, we've been working and getting some of our folks, our subject matter experts, onto the Area Maritime Security Committee cyber sub-working groups. We currently have folks engaged in Tampa, St. Pete, and Houston, Galveston. And we're trying to get a few more sectors covered soon. And finally, we've been actively working with the Coast Guard Academy, providing instructional support as well as liaison support for some of their programs and some of their accreditations as they're building up their cyber program at the Academy. Next term, or near-term things that we're working on also are the reviews for the Maritime Transportation Security Act regulated facilities. There's a requirement that they have to have a cyber component for their facility security assessments and facility security plans. The Coast Guard's asking us to assist with reviewing those documents and doing an assessment of those. So that's one of the key things we're working on right now. And then also helping out Coast Guard Cyber Command has their current 2 cyber protection teams. Both of those are based out of headquarters, and they are adding a 3rd one next year out of Alameda. So they're looking for auxiliaries to do direct support for those teams. Those are a lot more hands-on, so it's going to be a small subset of our cyber auxiliary workforce that's going to be probably supporting them, but it's definitely some exciting opportunities for those members. Other things we're working on doing a little bit further out is doing assisting, very similar to the marine safety prevention type side, to do support for inspections of those MITSA regulated facilities as well as vessels, blue team, red team assessments, as well as exercise support and training for the active duty inspectors that we'll be working with. We've been working on PQSs for some of the local roles, as well as identifying the active duty PQSs and JQRs, the joint qualification or job qualification requirements, to get them customized for the auxiliary, because there's some requirements we can't do, but we'll get those customized particularly for the CPT work, get them going. That's the end of my presentation. If anybody does have any questions, please track me down. Be happy to talk, and thank you for the time to present today.
Thank you, Joe. Great job. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Commodores. Thank you, Joe.
And it's
No,
to-
it's mine. I'm keeping it.
It's to me. Okay, just a few announcements. District Commodores, you should have received recommendations. You should have received BQ2 packets, certificates to distribute when you get back. And then also, each District Commodore at the banquet Saturday night gets assigned 1 table. So you should have gotten a little pack with 7 tickets in it. You being the 8th person, there are 8 to a table. By all means, give those out to whoever you want invited to your table if they're, excuse me, not already being seated at a reserved table. If you have any left over, some of you may not have a lot of people here from your districts or whatever, please return the unused tickets to myself or one of the aides, Iris Cohen, Bob Fabich, or Kelly Chrysalis, and someone will be seated at your table. We're not going to have open seats, so if you're not going to use any of them, bring them back. Awards. So we've got a lot of awards that are going to be presented throughout the rest of this weekend. We'll have flip charts like we did at N-Train, but also because this room is so large, it's going to be hard to see. Our goal is to put the information on the screens, to flash it, so make sure that you look for that. Check your emails, because I'm going to be sending everyone an email if they're receiving awards, either what session it is, ballpark time. I'll give you either morning, early morning, late morning, some time frame so you know approximately. Nothing goes perfectly on schedule. If we're running ahead of time, we may move some up, etc. So, but just be aware. We'll try and let you know as best as possible what we are doing. Anything else? I think that's it for now. Commodore Molesky.
I think I should remind everybody, don't go moving tables around, changing seats, doing this, otherwise Dee will stab you. Or me first, but that creates havoc with how we get billed for the meals and things like that. So let's take a, 15-minute break, and we'll see you back here in 15 minutes, which is roughly 9:35. Let's make it 9:35.
15 minutes
I almost said that.
Yeah.
I almost said that. Good job. You did a good job. Good job. Larry, you were terrible.
I quit.
This is the best, this is the best behaved he's been in a long time.
I know, I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised. I think it had to do with some of that bourbon, you know.
Mellowed him out.
And plus, I do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
I'm like all over the stupid place, and I get up and I just pretty much wing it anyway. So, but I just need to organize it a little bit. Yeah.
Very good, Alex, very good.
So far, so good. I think everything.
Man, did I get an earful from Larry and Linda.
I agree with him.
So do I.
It's the right thing.
And Linda says, what do you need me to do? I said, give me the strongest advice. The strongest advice.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that the right answer?
That's the right answer.
Okay. That's the answer you would have gave me, right?
Don't we hate that? That's an extra one. Yeah, that's yours. That's yours. That's yours. Mine's colder. Yours is warm. So, reconvene. All right. Oh, we're late. We good? I now reconvene the meeting of the Committee of the Whole.
Commodore Molesky will now give an update on the state of the auxiliary.
You gonna check the presence of people?
No.
Okay.
They told me I had to make this higher. How are we? Good, Chris? We're better? All right. God forbid. I have to look good and sound good for the TV audience. Good morning. The agenda calls for me to give remarks about the state of the auxiliary. Well, since we like nautical terms, we're underway, making way. Since I'm a lawyer, I'll use a lawyer term. Res ipsa loquitur. Did I say that right there, Doug? I'm fairly close. It's a Latin phrase and it essentially means the facts speak for themselves. Like, this is it. We're back. We're here. 3-year hiatus and we're back. And as far as I'm concerned, we're stronger than ever. We're back with a vengeance. I have to say, though, I do feel somewhat responsible for what has occurred over the past 2.5 years. You know, one of my favorite things about the auxiliary is I like the challenges. Brings to mind the saying, be careful what you ask for. We just met the greatest challenge that the auxiliary, our country, the world has encountered in generations. And what did we do? Well, we met it head on. We didn't let it stop us. And if anything, we thrived. You know, I can't tell you how many people came to me 2 years ago, you know, June, July, August, and said COVID was going to be the end of the auxiliary. Far from the truth, you know, far from what happened. We stepped up, you stepped up, and we made a difference. We continued, and I was thinking, yesterday we spent 4 hours reviewing the scripts and the awards and everything we're going to do over the next few days. And there's award after award after award for our members for what you have done over the last 2 years. And it was, you know, sort of normal operating procedure. We do this every time we have a NACON. But I thought about it. You know, these are things that were done. A large portion of the time was when we were shut down. You know, these awards, you know, Captain, they should have like a special, like, C little device for COVID. You know, it should be, it should be worth more. You know, you accomplished this, you got these numbers, but you did this during the COVID pandemic, during the shutdown. You know, that's just amazing. So what are we doing? We're moving forward, we're pushing the envelope, and we're targeting the future. And we've changed the paradigm. You know, coming up in the ranks as whether a division commander or a DCAP or a district commodore, we were always going to the Coast Guard and saying, what can we do for you? And what was the usual answer that you received? Oh, you guys are great, you do enough, you know, just continue what you're doing. That's not the situation anymore. More and more, the Coast Guard is coming to us and saying, can you do this for us? Every day, we get a new request. You heard Joe speaking just a couple of minutes ago about cyber. It's amazing the effect that this is having at headquarters, how much this is appreciated, how much of an impact that it has. But what are the highlights that we're doing? Well, I don't know if this is a highlight, but FSMS It has been difficult, it has been a challenge, but I want to announce today that we're giving it an official classification as a 4-letter word. We're getting there. You know, I think the FSMS system is, you know, the Coast Guard is getting more comfortable with it. It's getting a little bit more efficient, a little effective. Now, if we could get CWT to get better at it, would be a lot better. You know, I know a lot of people had travel challenges getting here, but it's a process. But we're getting there. As far as probably the biggest highlight that I see from the senior level that might surprise a lot of people here is the southwest border. Now, everybody wants to make their boss look good. They want to do something that their boss looks like they did a great job. You know, we want Captain Glendyke to look good. You know, we want the Coast Guard to look good. And the southwest border mission that our people are doing as we speak has given the Coast Guard more visibility, more points with DHS than anything in my career in the auxiliary as far as I'm concerned. They've earned more brownie points. You know, DHS came to the Coast Guard and said, we need your help, Coast Guard. We need help at the southwest border. Coast Guard has a lot of challenges. They didn't have the people that they could take away from the jobs they're doing and deploy them down to the southwest border. So they came to us, and we came up and we knocked the ball out of the park. Back in June, Larry and I attended the change of command and headquarters, and Gus and I attended the Senior Leadership Council, which has all the admirals in the entire Coast Guard in attendance. And the Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security came to speak to the admirals, and he spoke for about 30 minutes. The first 20 minutes he spoke about various issues. The last 10 he spoke about the auxiliary. He was blown away. He couldn't believe that the Coast Guard had an auxiliary that could come and forward and do this mission. He had pictures of auxiliaries down on the southwest border. He was so excited, he goes, I want to join. And Admiral Fagan, the commandant, well, Gus and Alex is here, they could hook you up. So of course, you know, we said, yes, we'll take care of this, and you know, I'm sure this is going to happen. And she escorted him out of the room, and the commandant came up to us afterwards and said, Alex, he's serious. He really wants to join. So, you know, we sent him an application, and his chief of staff sent an email back saying, well, I'm begging him not to do this till his term is over, but, but we'll see what happens. Cyber support. You heard Joe's presentation. You know, what we're doing, this is just another example of the skills that we bring to the table. And the Coast Guard Cyber Command is so excited about this. It's amazing. Because they can't find these people in the civilian workforce to come work for them. Why? They don't pay them enough. I know my daughter works for Google now, so I'm asking her for a loan, so I understand that. But what were, you know, they were blown away when they did the survey to find out how many people that are certified and qualified. So that's a big thing. The AUX Integration Award you're going to hear more and more about, and I think this is the best thing since sliced bread. This is one of the best changes that I think I helped accomplish over my term. You know, I was at the Leadership Council, and Commandant Schultz says, you know, Alex, what can we do? What can we do for the auxiliary? I said, sir, I go, we can motivate each other. We can motivate auxiliaries, but we can't motivate active duty to use the auxiliary. I go, if active duty had an award that recognized the units, the sectors for the best integration, the best utilization of the auxiliary, it would give them an incentive. And I said, he goes, Alex, shut up, you had me at award. You know, so what the Commandant envisioned, it was his idea. He wanted to have first place and runner-up because he goes, I'm looking forward to that sector commander talking to his people going, you got runner-up this year, you better get first place next year. So I think this is going to continue the change of the paradigm where they're looking to us to do more. Virtual skills, Commandant asked last year, he goes, how is the auxiliary doing with COVID? I said, easy, sir, it kicked our butt into the 21st century, which it did. You know, we're being streamed live on YouTube. Had we ever done this before? No. 1,100 elections virtually. Had we ever done that before? No. Zoom meetings. I said this back in March. I go, I'm so glad to be at a meeting where I am sure everybody's wearing pants. one more Zoom meeting, but this is the way of the future. And not only is it more effective and more efficient, but it solves a challenge that we had over the years, at every level, especially flotillas, divisions, districts, quorums. We have a lot of members, and once the flotilla gets too big, they can't reach a quorum, they can't do business. Now, you can attend the meetings virtually. I remember it was back a few months ago, in one day, I attended an aux air workshop in Cape Cod, a district training event in Buffalo, and a D train in California in one day, virtually. And I got that done, and that's something that was unheard of just a couple of years ago. Transparency, I think it was, whether it was 6 or 8 years, maybe 10 years ago when I was the chief of staff, I came here, and they made a big deal of the fact that they were going to allow the chiefs of staff to attend OPCOM. They'd never done it before. It had been limited to national staff, and they were doing us a big favor. I said, oh, this is great. This is going to be amazing. Went to OPCOM, which personally I think is the most informative and probably one of the most important meetings that we have. And I was amazed, but I was confused. I go, is this classified? How come we can't share this with everybody? Now we are. It's streamed live, and we keep hearing these statistics. What was the last one I heard? We have the photo archive available online. There's been over 1 million hits recently. We've gone up thousands and thousands of hours of people watching us have meetings. It's an amazing thing. AUX-CA. Well, we know 20 years ago, 25 years ago, if we went to active duty and said that we're going to cook for you, they would have laughed at us. They would have said, don't worry, we could do this ourselves. This has had such an impact, it's amazing. You heard earlier that we're on the Eagle. We had AUX chefs on the Healy when it circumvented the continental United States. We have cutters getting underway. My niece is a commander out in D14, and she visited me for Christmas. And her husband was the XO of the Kimball. She goes, my husband really wants an AUX chef on his ship. I said, I'll see what I could do. I know people. So I called Lee Zimmerman. I go, okay, we fix them up. And there was a chef on the Kimball, and I saw my niece's husband over the 4th of July, and he said he was amazing. He went from Honolulu to San Diego, and I think on to the Philippines. They have had such an impact on active duty, and things like that, it makes it better for everybody. And it makes it better for everything that we do. The future is today, and we're doing something new every day. But don't for a second think that I'm forgetting our legacy missions. I'm a coxswain, I'm a pilot, and believe me, starting next November 1st, I'm going to be doing a lot more of those than I have done in the last few years. I want to get back to why I joined the auxiliary. And those are the most important things we do. RBS is still mission 1, but if we just focus on that, if we don't target the future, we're going to be left in the dust. We're going to be left behind. We can't sit back and say to the Coast Guard, what do you want us to do? We have to think ahead of the Coast Guard. We have to be ready, so when they say, can you do this for us? Sure, we can do this. Captain Glendie, when the southwest border situation first started to develop, he says, well, we have to stand up the IMAC team. We have to get ready to have these people deployed. He goes, when do you think you could have this ready? 2-3 weeks? I said, tomorrow. We were ready. We were ready. Within a short time, we've had people going back, and I know we're looking for volunteers. I spoke to Rick Saunders yesterday. I said, how are we doing? Because we just extended the project another 90 days. He goes, we're doing well, but the most important thing, the most interesting thing he said to me was that a lot of the people that have already served want to go back. Right. And believe me, I was there about a month ago, and Eagle Pass, Texas is not a destination resort. But it was an amazing experience. You know, we got to see firsthand what we've all heard about in the news, and it's very different from what you heard. And the impact the auxiliary is having is dramatic. And of course, you know, they're doing their job, they're doing the logistics, they're doing the administrative work, but they're also doing what auxiliaries do. We made everybody happy, we made everybody comfortable. One of our members that was there on weekends runs a food truck. So he talked to CP, Customs and Border Patrol, borrowed a smoker, smoked 11 briskets, and fed the entire staff at the facility brisket, homemade macaroni and cheese, and homemade cornbread. These people, every time they see an auxiliarist or see an active duty Coast Guard, they're gonna remember that warm feeling in that stomach. They're gonna remember, they say, what's the best way to a man's heart? You know, it's through his stomach. What an impact they had. It was amazing. And the reason that we do these things that are outside our legacy missions is we have to stay relevant not only with the Coast Guard, but with the senior leadership of the Coast Guard. That's important. You know, Admiral Ray was speaking to us once, and he said that and he was the Vice Commandant at the time, he goes, when the Commandant thinks something's interesting, I think it's fascinating. You know, so he had a lot of great sayings. What was his other one, Gus? If you're walking down...
a turtle sitting on a fence post, chances are it didn't get there by itself. It's not all unicorns and rainbows.
If you're walking down the road and you find a turtle sitting on a fence post, the chances are it didn't get there by itself. Give that a little thought. Not too much, just a little. But for us, you know, pushing the envelope, doing all these different things, you know, we get so much more visibility, so much more recognition from the senior level, the senior leaders of active duty. And the reason that's important is that the junior leaders, you know, whether it's a station commander or a sector commander or a district commander, they're going to be more comfortable using the auxiliary if they know that the Commandant thinks it's a good idea to use the auxiliary. And every time we go to headquarters, every time we attend the LC, you know, the first things that come up, the Auxiliary Chaplain Support Program, the impact that this has had on the Coast Guard is amazing. You know, active duty, you're going to hear Captain Mode, Reverend Mode, Father Mode is going to come speak to you. There's 47 active duty chaplains. They're Navy chaplains assigned to the Coast Guard. The auxiliary now has 97. So it like triples their capacity. It's amazing, especially in times like this, you know, times in the COVID pandemic, you know, suicides are up across the military. We need that support. So that's where we are today. That's how we're doing. So the state of the auxiliary, well, we're in a good place. We're making way, we're underway, and we're targeting the future. Thanks so much. I just like getting up and down. It reminds me when I was a young boy, I was an altar boy, up and down, but nothing happened, you know, so. I'm going to miss this. We will now address the national recommendations that have been made. Vice National Commodore Formato, will you please come to the podium?
He is in incredibly rare form today. That's all I'm going to say. I'm thinking, yeah, he's very relieved. He isn't not running for anything. I'm thinking of moving the podium about 3 feet to the left here. Okay. All members of the National Board received a copy of the recommendations in July and also have a copy of them at their seat. I will now present the recommendations. Recommendation number 1. This recommendation you received was submitted by Commodore Alan Fred, has since been withdrawn, and will most likely be presented again at a later date. Recommendation number 2. From the Director of R, Roy Savoca, and DCO 9W, Harvey Randall, is for the modification to the requirements of the Auxiliary Annual Service Award to address training hours. Is there any discussion? Keep in mind, we will not be discussing the recommendations on Friday. This is your moment. Thoughts, comments, input? Hey, this is free, guys. Okay, hearing none, I'll move on to the third and final recommendation presented to us by NACO Chief Counsel Commodore Doug Cream, and that is to amend the standing rules of the National Board, which is to strike a superfluous and confusing phrase from the standing rules. Discussion regarding this. Commodore Cream is also here to address any questions you might have. Crickets. Okay, hearing none, this concludes the recommendations.
Well, that was easy.
Very.
Is there any other business to be brought before the board? Any business, funny business, whatever you have in mind? Hearing none, I now entertain area issues. Any area issues would like to discuss? Going once? Going twice? This concludes the area issues portion of the program. Mrs. Barth, do you have any announcements?
Thank you. Okay, so here's the first thing. When I talked this morning, one of the things I said is you had packets with awards, and the DCOs had little packets for seating, and then all the DCOs got a packet of the recommendations. Does everyone have recommendations at their table? That's right, nobody has them. So it's okay to speak up. I know I bite, but not hard. So make sure you have the packet. I mean, I know they've been sent to you a billion times. You now have a copy you can draw on if you'd like. Bring them to the National Board meeting with you, okay? Because that's where the vote will take place. And then also just a reminder on the DCO tickets, give them out. Have your friends sit with you, but if you have extras, please give them to one of us. And starting this afternoon, I'm going to start firing off emails to people that are going to be receiving awards. So make sure you check your email. And that's all I have.
Thanks, everybody, for attending. Thanks for wearing your mask. I appreciate it. The meeting is now adjourned.
DCOs and DCOSs, just a reminder, we'll be meeting back here at 1. If you care to change into Coast Guard casual, slacks and a polo, that'll be fine.
Even though we're not voting, it's in the book, it's a mandatory. Hi, Dave, how are you? Good to see you. How's everything? Good, good, good. Yeah, I understand. It's just,
Especially two lawyers. Feel bad for me, please.
Yeah.
Give me sympathy. Yeah, it was actually in the original script.
Okay, all right, let's wrap up here.
And
Let me ask him. Gus, I'll see what he has. You got time for Dave? Couple
Yeah,
minutes for
I
Dave?
do. Yes, and I would be comfortable leaving it in.
Do this. Oh, that went well. That's done.
that in there, the female section.